Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be chatting all about the brand new and very hyped up foundation from Charlotte Tilbury, the Beautiful Skin foundation. This stuff has been making its rounds. It's going viral, I would say. It's very popular right now on TikTok. I'm seeing it all over YouTube. I'm seeing it all over Instagram. There's some people that are saying this is the best foundation they've ever put on their face. There's a lot of really crazy claims going on, not just from people trying it, but also from the foundation itself. It says right over here, this is for your best healthy looking skin day every day. There's also a ton of other claims, which we will get into. And I have tried this already. This is not going to be a first impression. I do feel, especially when it comes to foundations, that first impressions are helpful, but not the most helpful. I think it is important to have like some solid wear time before giving you guys any type of review, just because things change very drastically with foundations. So I've already done the work. I've tried this out. I have a lot of thoughts already that I'm going to be sharing with you, and we are going to be demoing it. I'm going to be chatting about it, and hopefully by the end of the video, you'll have a good idea of whether or not this is a good fit for you. Also, while we're here chatting about makeup, I thought it'd be fun to also demo the new Milk Makeup liquid bronzer. These are the new Bionic products. We have the Bionic Glow, which is actually a highlighter, and then the Bionic bronzer. I already tried this yesterday. I already have some initial thoughts, but I want to try it again, especially with this foundation. I think it could be a really interesting combo. Hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed today's video, and subscribe if you are not subscribed already and want to join the fam. And let's get started putting some foundation on this face. Before I do absolutely anything, we need to prep the skin, make sure it's ready to receive some foundation. I'm not going to use any real primer because I just don't like doing that when I'm testing out foundations, because I just never know if my reaction is from the primer or if it's from the foundation. Just makes sense to keep it simple. So I'm going to go in with my Inky List Omega Water Cream. This is just a very lightweight but hydrating moisturizer, so it's perfect because it's not going to disrupt this foundation at all. The main claims for this foundation is that it's natural looking while still being a medium coverage. So this is not a skin tint. Don't get that wrong. I actually thought before even trying this that this was going to be a super light coverage skin tint like product. I don't know why I thought that, but I just did. So just know this is a pretty much like a solid medium, almost full coverage foundation. But even though it does have that coverage, this is supposed to be very natural and healthy looking on the skin. It's also supposed to be very hydrating. There is hyaluronic acid in here. So this is what the box looks like, and there's actually a lot of information on here that I'm going to read to you guys because I actually think it's really funny. Right at the top here, it says that the skin looks more radiant by up to 285%. I just thought that was kind of funny because can't really calculate radiance, It also says that it is long lasting, which is an important note, undetectable coverage, and improves the look of skin with each wear. Clinically proven results, boosts hydration up to 166%, skin looks plumper and smoother by up to 181%, and skin tone looks more even up to 210%. It basically says that it will make all of your dreams come true. That is the description of this product. The way that this product is described definitely is very much up my alley, which is also what got me very excited about it, because if you didn't know, I'm going to say it. I have dry skin. I know I say this a million times in every video, but it is relevant to this conversation. And I do look for foundations that have some radiance to it, that don't obviously make my skin look drier. And I also just don't really like foundations that look heavy, that feel heavy, and that have almost like too much coverage. I like a solid medium coverage foundation when I am going for something that I want to cover up my face and I'm not going for a skin tint. Okay, so let's actually apply this to my face so you can see what I'm talking about. I am going to be using the shade 4 Neutral, which matches me pretty much perfectly. It's a really good match. As you can see, the foundation comes in a tube, but there is a pump, which is really great. I love a good tube pump combo. You're gonna wanna mix it up just a little bit, and I'm gonna squirt out 1 pump on the back of my hand. I'm gonna apply it with a foundation brush. I have used it with a brush, a sponge, and my fingers. A brush definitely does work better for me. I find the sponge kind of makes it not really apply quite as evenly, and I just personally don't always love applying foundations with my fingers. Personal preference thing, so a brush just works best. This is a little NARS foundation brush. So I'm gonna pick up what's on the back of my hand. I'm gonna start on one side of my face. And I was actually really surprised with how thick this product is. I expected that it would be a little bit more like a tinted moisturizer type of formula where it was a little bit more liquidy and fluid. It's definitely not. It has a much thicker consistency. I actually find the consistency makes it so the foundation really smooths on the skin. Because it's not super liquidy, it doesn't like fall in every little like crevice and pore on my face. It just kind of smooths over it, if that makes any sense. Like that's how I imagined it in my head at least. You see how easy that was to blend out? I basically put zero effort into that and it looks pretty much flawless. That's another thing that I do like about this. It's not finicky at all. It's really easy to work into the skin. So I wanted to do one half of my face at a time just so you guys can see the difference. So here's with the foundation and here's without. Okay, now let's do the other side. I'm gonna put one more pump. I also want to mention there's no fragrance in this foundation, which I'm so relieved by because I do feel like Charlotte Tilbury typically goes towards those fragrances, but they probably heard our cries and they did not put fragrance in this foundation. Okay, 2 pumps on my face. This is what it looks like and it looks fantastic. The finish is glowy. It's actually almost a little bit too glowy for my liking. You can see I look very, very shiny like in the center of my face, which I'm very easily able to knock out with a little bit of powder, but that's something to definitely note. I think if you do have very, very, very oily skin, you may want to avoid this because the shininess does kind of get a little bit more intense throughout the day. As somebody with dry skin and somebody who also likes a glow, I'm fine with it, but I just think it's important to note for people who don't like a glow and also have extra oily skin and want to avoid a formula that just makes them look extra glowy. So now that I have this on my face and you guys can see what it looks like, I actually wanted to pull out 2 other foundations that I have on my collection just to chat about how I feel like they compare, because when I first applied this, I was like, okay, this applies really nicely. Like I'm really happy with everything here, but it doesn't feel unique in the formula. Like I've definitely tried this before and right away I thought of the It Cosmetics CC cream. And it's interesting because I watched a couple other reviews and I think Taylor Wynn also mentioned that she found that it was similar to the It Cosmetics CC, and I totally see that with the texture, with the finish, with the coverage. Basically everything about this reminds me of the It Cosmetics CC. If you guys have tried both, let me know if you agree in the comments, but I honestly cannot not see the similarities between the two. And another one that I'm actually kind of happy that it's similar to, because this is a discontinued product, is the YSL Touche Eclat All-in-One Glow Foundation. This is an old favorite of mine. Actually, so is the It Cosmetics CC. And can I just show you guys how similar the packaging is to the YSL Touche Eclat? It's kind of crazy, right? They look identical. This is slightly less similar. I feel like this actually isn't quite as thick in texture and doesn't have as much coverage, but the way that it sits, feels, and looks on the skin is very, 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 very similar. Whereas the It Cosmetics CC cream, like, I feel like it hits all of the same boxes as the Charlotte Tilbury one. So I think if you also really liked these products, you would probably really enjoy the Charlotte Tilbury one because they do have that similarity. And on top of that, if you already have these in your collection and you're working through them and you're wondering if this is any different or if it's worth adding it to your collection, I feel like because you get such a similar effect with both of these products, and if you already like them, I don't think it's worth it to get the Charlotte Tilbury one. So I thought it was important to mention these guys for both of those reasons. So I do find that this foundation does live up to a lot of its claims. It definitely is hydrating, natural looking. It does have pretty much undetectable coverage because it has that coverage, but it just doesn't look heavy. It's also hydrating and has a nice glow to it. The one thing though that I find that this doesn't quite live up to is the longevity part. I find that this wears really nicely up to a certain point, but once it hits that point, I find that it does start to look a little bit heavier on the skin. It almost starts to settle on my face. It's really not the craziest thing in the world. It's not something that would ever prevent me from wearing this product, but I don't think that I would wear this if I knew I had to be out for like 12 hours at a time and I wanted my foundation to look like flawless for those entire 12 hours. I have other foundations that I find do that a lot better. So that's all I really have to say about it for right now, but let's put on the rest of the makeup and I want to try the Milk Bionic Glow and Bionic bronzer with you guys. But first for my concealer, I'm going to go in with my Lancome Tanty Dull Ultra Wear. This pairs really nicely actually with this foundation because it's a little bit more matte, so I find it kind of dulls the shine in the center over here where I put the concealer. But also because this has such good coverage, I don't really find that I have to put the concealer anywhere else in my face, which is really nice. I'm gonna set my face a little bit and knock out some of the shine because it is pretty intense. I'm gonna use my Charlotte Tilbury powder. I just felt like it was fitting. And I'm gonna put this underneath my eyes. chin, nose, and my forehead. Putting on the powder I feel like is a big game changer with this foundation. Knocking out that shine just gives it that really flawless look that I really like, and it makes my pores look even more invisible. In a weird way, I almost find it boosts the foundation from like a medium coverage to a full coverage look, again, but still with it being nice and lightweight. So this bronzer comes in 3 different shades. I'm gonna be using the shade Time Travel, which is the lightest. If you've tried the Milk Bionic blush, they're very similar in formula. They're both like a gel-like texture, but I actually find with this bronzer is that it actually has a lot more pigment than the blush, so a little bit really goes a long way. Like this is actually probably way too much. I'm gonna just take my finger and put it on my cheekbones. And you could definitely blend this out with your fingers. I did that yesterday and it worked beautifully, but I'm gonna try it with a brush today because I feel like it'll just be a lot easier to melt into the skin. And I'm right. That took 2 seconds. Look how nice that looks. This is definitely a great formula for like a no makeup look if you want something extra natural. I posted a little first impression of this product on my TikTok. And I mentioned in the comments on the TikTok that I really like this because it looks super natural looking, but it still has that pop. It really melts into the skin so nicely to where it looks like it's a part of it, but it shows up. Like you look bronzed, which sometimes with liquid bronzers, they could be almost too natural where you almost barely even see them. This isn't the case with this guy. Look how nice that looks. The color is also really nice too. I'm gonna take a little bit of the Bionic Glow. This is in the shade Reality, and it's like a golden bronze shade. I actually initially thought that this was bronzers when I first got it, but it's not. It's a glowy highlighter. It is a very gold shade when you squeeze it out of the tube, but it does sheer out quite a bit once you start to actually work it into the skin. As you can see, it doesn't look like as intense. So I'm just gonna put a little bit layered on top of the bronzer. And look at how nice that looks. You could totally even mix these in together if you wanted to. If you wanted to transform this bronzer into a glowy liquid bronzer, this would be a perfect color to mix it in with because it has the same kind of undertone to it. Oh, also want to mention with this foundation, there really isn't any tackiness. I was actually a little bit concerned when I initially applied this because it felt like it was a little bit sticky and I was worried that it was going to stay that way. I wouldn't say that it set down 100%. There is a little bit of slip to it still, but it doesn't feel uncomfortable or tacky either. I think that's what contributes to the way that it wears throughout the day because typically foundations that are super glowy have that slightly tackier feel to them. So they'll kind of transfer a little bit easier and they'll move around a little bit more, whereas foundations that just set down completely will typically not transfer or move around as much. I think that's what contributes to the kind of not the best wear with this foundation. So all my makeup has been applied. Here's what the foundation looks like after everything is done. I actually almost find that after applying blush, bronzer, a little bit of that powder, and just like the rest of my makeup, I swear it like transforms from medium coverage foundation to a completely like full coverage foundation. In a weird way, I almost find that it looks just more perfected once everything is on the face. I am also gonna do a full wear test today. I'm gonna show you guys what everything looks like at the end of the day to really just give you a good idea of what I'm talking about when it does come to that longevity. But I think overall, my thoughts on this foundation are pretty straightforward. I definitely do find that my skin is 285% more radiant with this foundation on. I mean, look at that glow. It's super pretty, but in all seriousness, I really do enjoy the finish of the product. And I also just love how perfected my skin looks while still not giving me like a super heavy look as well. So overall, I really do like it. I can definitely see myself wearing this. Not every day. This is not an everyday foundation for me because it is so medium to full coverage, even though this is very skin-like in that it doesn't look like heavy and super foundation-y. It's not skin tint skin-like, and I do prefer those types of foundations for every day. Also because of that longevity thing, if I'm wearing a foundation for the entire day, I just want to know that it's going to look really awesome by the end of the day. And like I said, from my experience, it just doesn't look quite as good as I would like it to look by the end of the day. So for me, this is like a perfect going out for dinner foundation where it's really going to give my skin that nice perfected look. I don't really have to worry about it not lasting 12 hours because I'm not going to be wearing it for that long. So it's 11 a.m. right now, and I'll check in with you guys at the end of the day to show you what my face is looking like. See you then. Okay guys, it's the very end of the day. We're heading into 8 p.m. right now, so that means I've had the foundation on since 11, so 9 hours. Pretty solid wear time. I've had a very different experience with the foundation today than I have every other time that I've worn it, which is very interesting and doesn't prove my point of what I was talking about earlier at all, because the foundation actually wore literally perfectly. It looks flawless. It really does. It did not move anywhere. The only place it did move was on my nose because I've been wearing my glasses throughout the day, but it didn't like settle in my smile lines today, which was the problem that I was having every other time that I wore it. Even my boyfriend commented on my foundation when he saw, he was like, ooh, your makeup looks nice today. So yeah, I'm a little bit shocked. To be very honest with you guys, I really didn't do much today. Like, I stayed inside all day. I wasn't venturing outside. I didn't have my mask on and off today because I kind of just stayed indoors working. So the makeup wasn't really put to much of like a strenuous test. So, you know, it really shouldn't move so much today, and it didn't, which is good. I will say though, it's weird because even though everything is looking really good, it doesn't like look heavy or anything, it feels so uncomfortable on my face today. And I have been counting down the hours wanting to take this makeup off of my face because I feel it. And it's so weird because it doesn't look heavy at all, but it feels so heavy on my skin. And you know when you could feel your makeup? I don't know about you guys, but I really like to not feel my makeup. It really bothers me, and it's kind of like all I can think about when I do, and it's very distracting. Okay, I turned on a light. Obviously it's dark outside, as you can see, so I'm trying to get the best lighting possible for you so you can really see what things are looking like, but the light is just so bad. So I'm gonna just zoom in, put my head towards the ceiling, towards the light so you can see. And it looks really good. Like, really no complaints with the way that it looks at all. So I think with all that said, is this foundation worth the hype? I do definitely think that this is a really good product, but it's not without problems. And I have experienced problems with it. Like I said, there's some inconsistency with longevity. Today, no problem, but the other days that I wore it, I wish I would have taken clips of it, but it just didn't wear so well. Maybe it was the moisturizer that I was wearing underneath, I don't know. And like I said, I just don't like that I can actually feel it on my face, you know? So it's definitely not a fail whatsoever, but it's not like the best thing I've ever put on my face. So overall, I would recommend this for people who have dry, normal, perhaps combo skin. Want something that gives you a pretty flawless look, but that is also not super heavy or matte. I would definitely keep that longevity thing in mind. Again, that could just be me, but it's my experience. That's all I really have to go off of. And also I would keep in mind like the feeling of the foundation, because that's something that I really noticed pretty heavily today. As usual, let me know all of your thoughts on this product in the comments. I would love to hear all of your reviews and everything that you guys have to say if you have tried it. Hit the thumbs up button if you did enjoy today's video, and subscribe if you're not subscribed already, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, time to take my makeup off. Woo!